Nigerians living in London have been warned to be careful and to show restraint following the killing of black people in this city. Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, the senior special assistant to the President Muhammadu Buhari on foreign affairs and the diaspora, says the killings, especially those of Nigerian origin in London, is worrisome and disturbing. In a statement, Mrs. Dabiri Erewa says a total of 50 black people, mainly youth, are reported to have been stabbed or gunned down in London since January. This includes 9 Nigerian youth killed in London and other parts of the UK. Well, the statement further says that Mrs. Dabiri Erewa has written a protest letter to the UK High Commissioner in Nigeria demanding an investigation and justice. Well, let's get more on this now. And joining us from our Abuja studio is Liboros Oshoma, a lawyer and human rights activist. Good to have you on Network Africa.
My pleasure, always.
The federal government has raised an alarm over the spate of killing of black people in London in recent times, especially with Nigerians. Is this not rather disturbing? I mean, we deserve some explanations, right?
Yes, we do. It's very, very disturbing. And before I start, I would salute the courage of the special advisor to the president on diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa. It's like she's been a lone voice in the wilderness. You know, she's been the only one showing concerns for, you know, this killing, even when this xenophobic attack started in South Africa and the one also in Ghana. She's the only person that seems to show concern. But the government really, even though the government she represents, I've really, apart from writing protest letters and condemning, I've really not seen any decisive steps on the part of the government to call on government in these countries, you know, to investigate the matter, to ensure that, you know, those culpable are brought to book. And then also, apart from just general warning, what is the foreign mission in these countries also doing to ensure that, you know, citizens, Nigerian citizens in these countries also are sensitized enough to ensure that they are actually truly safe. You know, so when you really don't take steps to protect your own, whether inside or outside, because you owe them that duty of protecting their lives and properties, whether in the country or in foreign countries, then it becomes a very big source for concern.
We understand that angry Nigerians have stormed President Muhammadu Buhari's Abuja residence in London over the failings of the administration. Now, do you think that the Nigerian government is doing much to stop these senseless killings in the UK and elsewhere?
Yeah, like I said, we are not doing enough. You see the way other countries take steps to protecting, to fighting for the rights of their citizens. Even human rights organizations in these countries also are aided by government to ensure that in places where government, you know, are unable to protect or reach out to such citizens in need, you know, the human rights communities in these countries are aided to go the extra mile in collaboration with some government agencies like Legal Aid and the rest. But here, what happens is like the human rights community is almost on its own. You know, you do the little you can and leave the rest. And so the government really, apart from mounting concern, has not been able to show concern. I take you back a little bit to the year 2009 or so. You remember the case of Samantha Orobato, the Nigerian-born British girl who was condemned to get death in Laos. And you saw the steps the British government took. That was somebody who was facing trial. There are so many cases also in Nigeria where foreign nationals, you know, are arrested, and you see the steps taken by their foreign missions to not only hire solicitors for them, to ensure that they monitor such cases to find out, you know, the eventual outcomes. And even in cases where death occurs, you see also the steps that the foreign missions take to ensure that those that have lost their life not only get justice, but the society in which they live in. If there are the need for compensation also need to be paid. But in the case of Nigerians and Nigerian government, take South Africa, for example, the last time you saw the Nigerian government did something decisive was when Benga Ashiru was Nigerian ambassador to South Africa. He was a career diplomat who understood your diplomatic relationship. And the case of the yellow card vaccine issues. And he took decisive steps that made South Africa to retrace its steps. Apart from that, what we hear now, you just hear, Nigerian Senate or the House of Rep or the government condemning such attack, and then it ends there until the next one happens. The one in South Africa till date, it just, fizzled away. And then the Ghanaian own, the one that happened in Ghana, where 5 Nigerian students were killed, all the government had to explain was, this is not a xenophobic attack, it's a criminal, but the people that died are dead. What step did government take to ensure that justice is served to those people? And look at the one in London also. Apart from Abike raising it, a lot of, even our newspapers, you could hardly find it in our newspapers. All you hear is the president's declaration for a second term about the major issues about the citizens, the welfare of the citizens. Nobody's bothering about them. Not even talk of the ones in Nigeria, people that are dying in droves. That's why you see people gathered in London wanting to protest, because it is human beings that provided those basic amenities that our government officials run to assess in these foreign countries. And so some of these people also, you can't take the fact away, because I've listened to argument where people also allege to the fact that, Nigerians should stay in their country. It is no longer possible for citizens to remain only in their country. And so citizens are bound to travel for business. In some cases, will leave because their country of origin is not comfortable or conducive or not able to provide the basic needs for them. And so in such cases, what happens when they go? How the government also needs to ensure that they are because they carry the identity of such government. And so that's why people are angry in these societies where there are rights. Their rights are also protected. They want the government, their home country, to be able to do something, take decisive steps, not only protecting them, but also protecting their relations back home. And so that's why you see, the voice over there is unanimous. Even here, even in Nigeria here, you hear the unanimous cry also of people condemning such act. And that government should not only cry, the National Assembly should not only cry, but that there are steps, international diplomacy that can be taken to ensure that the tide is turned.
Quickly, in 30 seconds, could you tell us what steps should be taken in this regard? Yeah,
one, in international diplomacy, you can take steps to reciprocate. But in this case, we're talking about killing, so that is definitely ruled out. But also, you can take steps to ensure that such killings are investigated and the people brought to book. And if it has to do with, intentional attacks on your people, also, you can take steps to ensure that compensation is paid to the families of these people who are murdered in cold blood for no just cause, but for the fact that they are Nigerians. And so there's so many other steps that government can take also to win back the confidence of the people that, irrespective of where you reside as a Nigerian, that the government is there to protect you, and not just protect you, but to look out for you, and then also give you information on the safety of the environment that you live in.
Many thanks, Mr. Liboros Oshoma, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program. Well, still to come on Network Africa, Egyptian cyclist Mohamed Nufal gets on his bike for a World Cup road trip. Do stay with us.